Hey everybody, it's Chris doing something a little different here. I was just in Hong Kong. I took a trip to Tokyo and Hong Kong, and while I was in Hong Kong, Lego was very, very popular there. So was Knockoff Lego by various companies over there in China, in the Philippines, etc. I came across a set that I thought looked cool. This guy right here. It's obviously meant to look like Voltron, but it's by a company called Hsanhe. Might be mispronouncing that. Apparently, it's a Filipino company that very much tries to do knockoff Lego. You can see that their bricks are the exact same shape and scale. It's definitely built with a slightly different plastic. It's very subtle, but this is slightly lighter than normal Lego. It doesn't have like the little Lego branding, and if you look at the little pegs that will clutch together, there's frequently like a little tiny divot. It's a little hard to see on camera here, but there'll be a little divot sometimes. And that speaks to their injection molding process. It basically means that they aren't really able to push out all the air properly and break off the piece with their injection pins properly. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it shouldn't be a problem. It seems to have the same sort of clutch power that Lego normally does, and so I just thought, that this would be an interesting experiment to try to build this knockoff Lego set and build Voltron. It's over 1,400 bricks. I was able to haggle with them and get it for only $25 US. So it was probably a good value as long as the bricks actually all hold together, as long as the bricks are all there. That's the risk I'm taking, because if something's missing, there's no number for me to call and get it right. But I opened it up, and there wasn't like numbered bags. It's just a bunch of different colored, different shaped pieces. So there's going to be a lot of sorting. This is going to take a long time. Looks like I've got somebody in chat here. Hi, Diego. But I do seem to have all the directions. So, pardon me, long flight. Sometimes when you're in the air in a pressurized cabin that long with all those people, you can get kind of congested. So I've got a tickle in my throat, and sometimes my voice might crack a little. That's just because I'm congested. So anyway, we'll see. I'll do this for a little while and see if I can sort quickly enough to make this interesting. I'll try to look at the chat. If it seems to not be going that well, I may end it. But, it's an experiment. So bear with me. So this is for like once we create all the lines, we can assemble them into Voltron. I'm going to set that aside right now. And I've got a sheet for the black line that I'm going to give a shot at. I'm going to just adjust some of my windows that I can see here on the computer in front of me so that I'm sure that, if people are in chat, hello Karen, that I can address them. I know I usually do art streams, but I do love Lego. I like Voltron. So this is just something a little different to try out, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, very different types of instructions than American Lego, but clear enough to read. It says like how many of each piece I need to set aside, and that's what I'm going to start doing. And hopefully, the quality control is good enough that this can actually be built. Didn't quite adjust this window right. I'm already sort of worried that, this is going to be very, very long and only interesting to a very few people that like Lego, but it can't hurt. It can't hurt. So I'm going to just keep finding the bricks that I need. It says I need a two-piece with a ball hitch. It's in black, so that's already going to be a nice challenge. I have no idea. See, one lovely thing about LEGO is they'll actually number the bags so you know very explicitly what you're going for. All right. The bag doesn't open as easily as a LEGO bag. Let's try it this way. Yeah, I can tear it open this way. LEGO bag will pull apart quite easily, like a bag of potato chips. This does not want to give up, but on the plus side, at least none of these bags broke during shipping, so theoretically, I should have all the pieces. There's one black hitch. This is going to take, you know what, this is going to take an eternity. What can you do? And now I need a 2x4 plate in black. Is that what this is? No. Okay, good lord. There when I'm done with them. I will say I was really into LEGO as a kid, but I didn't have many. I wouldn't say we were poor by any stretch of the imagination, but I didn't have tons of toys. But I had a few LEGO, and the reason I liked them was I could create my own things. And then, you know, before I became a teenager, I started to drift out of my interest. Hello, Slyfly guy. And I only came back to it like less than 10 years ago. And all of a sudden I found out that like building Lego and just sets with directions was very relaxing. So it became my sort of zen. You know, when I needed to chill out, I would get myself the biggest Lego sets possible and just build them. So I have a lot, too much really. I need to start letting them go. Okay, so I'm going to follow these directions. Let's see, we're going to take a couple of these bricks. This is laid out very differently than I'm used to with Lego directions. Okay, so far so good. About the same clutch power you can expect from a Lego set. It's just that the feel of this plastic is a little slicker and a little lighter. You can tell that it's not quite the same quality of plastic. I don't know what they use for their, you know, like their ABS, but it's not quite as good. But we'll manage. Mighty Minority, hello. Nice that some of you stopped in. I'm really live streaming because this looked like it would be a nightmare to try to record and then edit. So this is me just doing something for fun. I hope that that's clear. It's probably not as educational as when I sit down and do some art, do some live streaming there. It's a very different type of thing. But anyway, yeah, we're making progress. Oh, I didn't need two of these. Okay. And again, it's really interesting. Like there at this angle, you can see how there's like this little divot on this one stud. That has something to do with the pins that push it out of the injection mold at the end. They're just not quite as precise as the materials, the equipment that Lego uses. I'll also say this is not really noticeable at all, but there's a tiny bit of like a grime or something on these. These aren't 100% clean. Now they're not filthy. There isn't like a chunk of grease on them, but there's just a tiny bit of schmutz here and there, and that's also probably from this company's design process. They probably have, you know, some grease in various machinery, and I think tiny bits of it might get on the bricks. So it's just the tiniest bit dirty, which, yeah, just wouldn't have expected that. But live and learn. How many pieces, asks Mongo88. Well, I wasn't able to keep the box because it was just too big for my luggage. Like, I would have had to chop it up, and it just wasn't worth it. So I didn't keep the box. But it was over 1,400 bricks. Over 1,400. They were charging 230 Hong Kong dollars, but I haggled that down, and I paid the equivalent of around $25 US. So to me, that was a reasonable gamble. I was like, okay, this set might, not be great if I'm unlucky, but I'd only be out at most, $25. And if it does work, $25 for a set this size, that's going to give me a lot of hours of entertainment. So I figured the risk versus reward proposition was such that I would take a chance and give my opinion on this. And you know what? I mean, if this ends up being a set that all comes together properly, I'll say that that's a really good price. I wouldn't want to support the sets that are ripping off existing Lego sets. That's mostly what they do. And Lego, I found out after I bought this, when I got home yesterday afternoon, I found out Lego is making their own LEGO Voltron. So is this a direct ripoff? Do they somehow already know how Lego's going to make this? I would guess no. I think that this is just their stab at making a similar looking set, but they've had their own designers make it independently, and they're just trying to get it to market first. It wasn't called Voltron, but I mean, you can look at it and it's clearly Voltron. Hello, bad people. Is this what I've come to, watching people build Legos on the internet? I don't know. YouTube is a weird place where I've found myself hypnotized by all sorts of stuff that I would not have expected. I've been watching people build Lego and G.I. Joe sets and stuff lately, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought this would be entertaining, but I can have that on as background noise and look up every once in a while and go, it's kind of entertaining. There's a way that I live vicariously through people, and have enjoyed it. So I figured I'm just going to try it at least once. Just going to try it. And I am having a hell of a time finding the right bricks, folks, because there are so many of these little bags, and I just can't find the right piece because none of this is numbered. Well, it's definitely not going to be that, so I'll set that aside. It's definitely not that. Time to start finding some sort of a process to this. Lego makes it so that you really don't have to worry about having too many bricks in front of you at any one time. Even if you're building some of their massive sets that are, tens of thousands of bricks, and those are mainly the ones that I get, you're never overwhelmed because you're only opening a few bags at a time, and you know that that's what you need. I'm just setting aside stuff that I know I don't need. Lego is making Voltron sets. That's so cool. Yeah, so Lego has this fantastic project called Lego Ideas. It used to be known as Kuso when it was a beta program. And people can submit their own ideas to Lego. If it gets 10,000 votes of support by Lego Ideas people that have registered there, just other people like you and me, if it gets that 10,000, Lego has a team that will review it and say, is there a business case for this? Can we get the license if it's from Disney or something like that? And do we think it will actually sell? And so that's why we've gotten things like, the Back to the Future DeLorean, Big Bang Theory was a set from Lego Ideas, as well as all sorts of realistic or real-world based things, like a lot of different space shuttles and stuff like that, and birds. I know that sounds strange, but yeah, so people can pitch these ideas, and someone apparently pitched a Lego Voltron set. That's not it. And they ultimately decided that they will produce it. It's not available yet. You should probably sort them out into colors first. Well, that's the thing, bad people, is, you know, like the bags are generally only 2 colors already, and I don't have a big enough work area that I can just make a yellow pile and a black pile, etc. I might when I have less bricks, but initially I just need to sort of look through these and find what I'm looking for. And I'm starting to be concerned that there don't seem to be the pieces I'm looking for, but it's early. I'll figure out a process as I go along. I've never quite had to, I'll just start, you're right, I'll start putting them out on my work area and sort them that way. It is kind of fun, Mongo88, so, you know, hopefully it will work. Ever see the Retro Blasting Voltron series and toy retrospectives? No, actually I haven't, but I have discovered Retro Blasting recently, and I'm not into every video they make because I'm not into every toy they review, but they do seem to do a very good job at when they do like a history of a piece, like really researching it and almost putting together a mini documentary for you about those toys, and I really enjoy that. So that is pretty cool. Let's see. Hello, Kuwabara-sama. And yeah, I appreciate you guys joining me on this little experiment. I'm just going to start sorting some bricks, and we'll see what we come across. I'm looking for this, one more of these, and a 2x2 block, so, all in black. And blacks and grays can really vanish when you're trying to sort things. So sometimes that takes a little while. But we'll get there. Okay, here's the other one of those, so that's good. So I've got these two. Now I need to find 2 gray studs. That'll be easy. 1. I say that'll be easy, like watch it be in separate bags or something. Okay. Now I need to find 2 of these. So, obviously I've got a lot of time to kill, so I'll have to talk, I'll have to give stories and stuff as I'm doing this. Otherwise it will just be long periods of silence. So, I was saying earlier, I really only got back into LEGO something like, we'll say 10 years ago. I'm not sure exactly when, but in that time frame. Because I've been into it when I was very young. Then, you know, you grow up and you're not as into it anymore. Maybe you are these days. I don't know. Like, I wasn't for a long time. But I got back into it, and I love building the big sets, like the stuff like Death Star or the Quickie Mart from The Simpsons, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to start pouring out bricks in my work area. And I find it so relaxing. Maybe it's because, like, you're just following directions, so you're not really, you can turn your brain off, you know? I like to turn on a podcast and build Lego when I'm just looking to veg out and relax, and sort of the back of my brain might, like, work out creative problems or creative solutions to problems. Hopefully my brain isn't working up new problems for me. Yeah, so I find that, like, I find this incredibly relaxing. Maybe you like to cook or you garden. I mean, the other thing I like to do that relaxes me sometimes is illustrating. So, fortunately, I actually don't have a lot of money these days, so I spend a lot more time drawing than I do buying Lego sets. So that's probably more productive. I wanted John Carpenter's The Thing Lego set. I mean, that would be amazing, and you could probably design one yourself, but I know that Lego has some pretty strict rules against horror and violence, so they would probably not support the thing or anything quite like that. But thanks to some of the weird monsters they've designed and things like, I don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, there are some cool tentacle pieces out there to build with. So it could definitely be done by the right creative person that has the time to figure it all out. So I'm just sorting stuff. It is cathartic. No hurt feline. I like that. That's funny. Yeah, it's cathartic. But, it also requires a certain financial commitment. I also don't keep everything that I've built assembled for very long. Usually just like 2, maybe 3 sets tops, and then I break it down. I put them in Ziploc bags, put those in file boxes, and they go into my basement. And I'm usually willing to sell them for, what I bought them for, maybe a little less. And after they're discontinued, to various collectors, that's considered a really good deal. So I can usually basically make my money back in the long term on this, which is kind of cool. I am really having a hard time finding a particular black brick here, folks. I'm trying to see. Could it? Well, I'll just keep opening. I'll just keep opening bags until I find it, I guess. Because it's hiding. Oh, that's definitely just a small part of what makes LEGO better. Not just their product, but the fact that they organize it well with numbered bags and very clear instructions. So I'm having a real hard time finding... Oh, wait a minute. I misread. I only need to find one of these. I already did. So, wasting time. Okay, let's see. That goes there. When I was a little kid, I didn't have many Lego sets, but I would build them, and then I would break it down and start making my own things. And for whatever reason, I was fascinated with the idea of making like tunnels and stuff, and just sending my minifigures sliding through them. So that was something I did a lot as a young kid, yeah, I miss it. There was a brief period of time where I had an uncle who worked at LEGO as an engineer, not an engineer that designs his stuff, an engineer that, like, I think helped with the packaging, like the machines that would package them. He now works in, like, helicopters and stuff, so it's kind of interesting now that I think of it, that at one point when I was really young, when he was still pretty young, he was working at LEGO. I'm not sure how that all worked out, but I remember he was able to get a huge bag of all sorts of different types of shapes of bricks, but they were all clear. And that was because it was just the cheapest plastic that they could quickly send through the various injection molds and test to put into bags and stuff. And they didn't need to keep it. That was just considered disposable, but he just sort of was allowed to take some big bags of these home, and he gave them to me like one Christmas or something. So as a kid, that was exciting because I just like to build my own stuff anyway. Yeah, that was good. Not really in touch with that uncle too much anymore, which is, now that I think of it, kind of too bad, because I'd love to thank him for that. It meant a lot to me as a kid. I wish I got into Legos more as a kid. I was more into drawing. Well, Kenji, one of those is more potentially productive, isn't it? I think that illustrating, drawing, or making art, if you're as entertained by that, that's more productive. I think I have way more Lego now as an adult than I ever had as a kid. I didn't have that many as a kid, and I would draw too because we didn't have cable, we didn't have a Nintendo or anything, so I didn't have video games or TV as much of an option. I had a few toys, of course, but mostly I would entertain myself by drawing, and I wish I'd. The only thing that's even close to a regret is as a kid, no one ever said like to me, "Oh, you should consider taking this illustrating seriously. You should consider it as a career." No one ever really suggested that idea to me. No teachers, no parents. It wasn't like anyone was being cruel to me. I just don't think it occurred to anyone that it was a realistic job path. Maybe I could have become I don't know, an architect or something like that. That's not what I want to do. I'm just saying that people could have suggested that to me. So I sort of fell out of drawing. Well, I always drew for myself, but I never took it seriously to improve until I was somewhere around like 22. And then I was like, oh, I love drawing. I should try to get better at it. Anyway. And so, now I'm, I just became in my early 40s. I'm old. But it's only like now that I'm really like making an effort to, again, like try to take my art to a new level. It would have been nice if I'd had more of a head start, that's all. Not really a regret. Just wish I'd been sort of told that could have been a realistic job path to have taken. Let's see. Am I doing that right? Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. What are you guys' favorite sort of things to do to relax? I'd be curious what other people like to do to chill out. For me, it's drawing or it's Lego. I think that those are the two main things. I mean, there's other things I like to do, but I'm talking in terms of pure relaxation. Because, like, going out with friends and stuff is great. That's not exactly the same to me as, like, relaxing. I love to go on a hike now and then. That's not quite the same as relaxing, For me, drawing or Lego and listening to podcasts and music is what I like to do to relax. Okay, we're moving on. I'm to the first fold of 1, 2, 3 folds, both sides, and that's how this works. Let's see. Bad People says, I hit a plateau at about 22, and it's been frustrating ever since. I found that when I feel that I've hit a plateau as an artist, like I just don't feel like I'm making any improvements, I don't look at other artists for inspiration or education, maybe I should say. I look at them for inspiration, but not education. I go back to life drawing. I say, let's forget about any sort of quirks or shortcuts that I've learned, and let's just focus on the basics of drawing. And I do feel that sometimes helps me go to a next level. I don't know if that works for everybody. That's my 2 cents. Hopefully that's at least not a bad idea. But yeah, I like live drawing. So I was just on vacation. I was in Hong Kong where I got this, and I was in Tokyo for a little over a week. And when I was in Tokyo, I found out that there was a Dr. Sketchy's there. If you're not familiar, Dr. Sketchy's is a franchise of live drawing that will take place almost always at a bar, and they'll hire a model or usually a burlesque dancer, and you start with, like 2-minute long poses, you move on to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and finally you end with like, a 20-minute pose. And then they'll have like competitions in the middle where people can win little prizes. And you usually get a burlesque show in the middle or at the end. And I used to do that a lot in DC. It was a fun thing to do, to hang out with other artists and improve your skills. They had one in Tokyo, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to hang out with a bunch of people in Tokyo and draw. And guess what? One of my friends from Washington, D.C., where I originally started going to these Dr. Sketchies, happened to be in the same part of Japan that night. I saw him post on Instagram, and I'm like, Christian, we met at Dr. Sketchy's. Like, there is a Dr. Sketchy's tonight. We're in the same town. We haven't seen each other in 4 years. And we met up, and it was fantastic. I got to hang out with an old friend from the United States while we did live drawing and stuff. So that was a blast. That was such a treat. That was something I didn't go to Japan expecting. He didn't either. But as soon as we both realized that we were in the same part of Japan, we got together and we did live drawing together. It was a really fun night. A fantastic way to cap that section of my trip. So far, by the way, these bricks are sticking together very well. A lot of LEGO fans will call that clutch power. So, because to get this just the right size to click together, but not like, have to force it or be too loose, that's tricky. So far, so good. So far, so good. I'm surprised you're in your early 40s. You seriously look much younger than that. Well, thanks, man. I think I usually look better when I have a lot less weight and if I shave. But I was walking 5 to 6 miles every day in Japan and Hong Kong. We just walked everywhere. Shopping, temples, mountaintops, just the city in general. We just decided, why bother taking a cab or the metro? We can walk 1.5 miles. So that sort of has helped me jumpstart something I've been intending to do, which is get back into some regular exercise. And I feel good right now. I haven't weighed myself, but I had to have lost at least a couple pounds doing that much walking. And it feels good. It feels good. I'm excited to continue down this path. I've done various things in the past to exercise, and gyms tend to bore me. I will go to them if I have a personal trainer or a training group that makes it easier. One thing I did for a long time was Krav Maga. I did that for a few years, and I liked that a lot. I like that a lot. I mean, it teaches you self-defense, but it's also just really good exercise because it's intense. It's really intense what's required out of you. And at a certain point, though, it was really wearing on me. Some people have more trouble than others, and unfortunately, like my joints and my bones by my joints were really sort of deteriorating, so that I was starting to get some sort of chronic arthritic pain. So that was frustrating, but I eventually was like, this isn't going to be my long-term thing anymore. I have to step away. I might go back to a different martial art at some point. I mean, they're all rough on you in some way, but I've had some time off, and maybe it's time to get back into something like that. I like martial arts as a workout because it's not just sort of doing the same repetitive motion over and over again. It's a good mix of like sort of cardio and muscle building. It's not the only thing you can do. You have to like supplement it with some cardio and some gym workouts, but you don't know what to expect when it comes to sparring, at least. So I like that aspect of it. I like that aspect of it quite a bit. So who knows? Maybe it's time to look into getting back into a martial art. Maybe something more, less contact, like karate and stuff can have some contact, but Krav Maga, you didn't put on a uniform and just go through drills. It's really about street fighting, essentially. Like if someone attacked you in various scenarios, how do you defend yourself? So it was very, very high impact. Diego has a comment. I like doing gesture drawing to relax, also reading trades and watching ASMR. My fiance does that ASMR stuff. I haven't gotten into it personally, but I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm like, yeah, that does look pretty chill. Okay, I'm having trouble finding a piece again, but I'll find it. Unless one of you guys wants to come over and help build this with me. You want to sort bricks? Oh, never mind. I found one. Need to find a second one. But if it's over here, then I'm in good shape, right? Kenji says, I know what you mean. I tried MMA for a week and was dead. Yeah, and Krav Maga to a large extent is, you know, kind of like doing a mix of various MMA things, because you're doing ground grappling, you're doing strikes and kicks. And one cool thing about like taking Krav Maga where I did was we would have sometimes guest instructors, like, you know, a double black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu come, and we'd roll for the night. You know, we'd grapple, or we'd have somebody teach us some Aikido or Muay Thai. So it was nice to sort of add in those skills and just sort of like take a whatever works approach every once in a while. It was very nice. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I do miss doing that stuff. And unfortunately, my body was just really not doing well at a certain point. And I was going to, you know, 2 to 3 hour classes at night, and I guess I just sort of overdid it, you know. But I didn't want to like take it too easy. If I was going to do it, I want to do it right. I want to continue to get better. So I don't know that I'm the most competitive person, but I guess every once in a while there's certain things that I can get a little competitive about. I can be kind of tough on myself. I'll put it that way. So like, I'm not the most competitive when I'm playing first-person shooter video games or something. I want to win, but I also don't like care that much if like we lose a match. But I have some friends that take it a lot more seriously, and yeah, so that's not quite me though. I don't like to let people down though. So if we're meeting for a game night and it's really important to them that we do well, I can take that stuff pretty seriously now and then. Okay, I need a. There we go. 1 by 2 and another. All right, we're moving forward. And this is the biggest lion, so after this guy, hopefully the rest are a little easier. But maybe tonight I'll just build just the black lion and see how that goes. It's not going to show up on camera, I don't think, but like almost there. Can you almost sort of see how it's like got like what looks like maybe a greasy fingerprint there or something when I touch this? I don't think you get quite as much of that on Lego, because like I say, there's just a little bit of schmutz here, and I think it's like the sort of grease and oil that like the machines need to go. Like somehow some of it's getting on these pieces a little bit. It shouldn't be, but it does. It's just the tiniest bit dirty, which is a little gross. And also, like, if you look at this, like, okay, I pushed that together pretty well, but this isn't quite together yet, is it? See? Gotta push it a little harder. Just a little harder than you might have to with a Lego set. It's very subtle, but you can tell that it's different. You can tell. Sorry, I'm getting texted by my fiance. She's kind of sick. I'm just making sure she's okay. Doesn't need anything in the other room. I'm live streaming. Hopefully she's okay. If not, then I'll have to end this, and I'm sure you guys would 100% understand where I'm coming from there, but it seems like it's okay. Yeah, this is interesting. I can sort of see where this is going. I think I get it. And it's holding together okay. But again, like, there's just the tiniest gap here that I could almost fit a fingernail into. And normal Lego will line up almost perfectly there. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, there we go. Need that. And another one. I guess Lego is a pretty personal type of thing usually. Like I don't think I've ever really sat down and tried to build Lego sets with somebody else. Excuse me. A little congested from the flights. You could, I suppose somebody could sort of like divide the colors or the size bricks up, and that could sort of be a partnership, but I don't know. Would that be fun? Maybe that's part of why I find it relaxing, is I just sort of know that it's pretty much my personal time. I'm just dedicating it to such. And I could see myself doing that for different things. Like, I love the idea of building or rebuilding a car, an actual car. I love the idea of doing that. They do have kits where you can build a car, but I also kind of love the idea of getting like a classic car, like like an American classic, like a '65 Impala or something like that, and finding a real beat up one that just has like its frame, and taking the time to piece by piece, part by part, replace what needs to be replaced, and shining and buffing up the good stuff. You can sort of see a face taking place here, can't you? Just a little bit. I think so. I would like to do something like that someday. Yeah. I think that would be a very ambitious, very long-term project, but I like the idea of it. You'd have something you could be so proud of at the end. Did you ever have Playmobiles when you were a kid? No, I didn't. No, feeling. I would not say that I was in any way underprivileged or anything, but I did not have Playmobiles. There were lots of popular toys that I just simply didn't have as a kid. And I got into them probably some things like a little later than other kids. Because like I ended up, eventually getting like a paper route when I was in 6th grade, and by the time I was 16, I got as well like a part-time job at Walgreens. I did babysitting whenever I was asked. I did landscaping every summer. So I started to have some of my own money, but like more as like 15 to 18-year-old or something, and that's when I was buying a lot of comics, and sometimes things like Transformers or G.I. Joe that other kids my age probably had gotten out of a bit, but I had the money, so I sort of saw it as a collection. Of course, I don't have any of it now. Eventually, I did stop and sold it all. All of it. Comics, Transformers, G.I. Joe, sold it all. Can't keep everything forever, right? I don't know too much about Buddhism, but I know that like one of its core tenets is that it says that we as people have a desire to cling to impermanent things. Physical things. We can't take them with us when you die, right? And they have a term for that. It might be something along the lines of dukkha, but don't quote me on that. I'm not a Buddhist. I've just read a little bit about it. And I find that idea very fascinating because it sounds very true, at least for me. I'm like, yes, I do have a desire. Like, I love stories, and so I love reading comics. I love movies, and I like having those physical comics. I like having the Blu-ray. I like having a toy based on those things. But when you think about it, that's really nothing I can keep, and I don't even want to like clutter my house forever with all of those things. So I enjoy the sort of hunt for achieving a collection, but I don't necessarily get a ton of pleasure out of having that collection. And so there's a small part of that like idea of Buddhism, as I understand it, that I do relate to and find interesting. So we'll see. Maybe someday I should learn some more. Hey, Chrissy. Let's see. Would you ever draw a comic or a manga, says Kenji. Technically I have done some of that. I will take freelance assignments here and there, And I have drawn some educational comics. I've done some independent self-published comics work for anthologies. I've worked on, like, government magazines for a long time. The State Department would just hire me freelance to illustrate stories for their magazine. They had a magazine for like third world countries, trying to teach them about entrepreneurialism. I hope you know what I mean. Yeah, I kind of got that word out. So I have done some comics work. I have done some. I would love to illustrate, a full, big, real comic, but I don't think that my skills are quite at the point where other people would want that. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to be realistic to myself. I don't think that I'm quite there yet. What an interesting little detail here. Let's see. Does it have minifigures? No, Diego. It does not have minifigures. That would be a blast. I saw some really funny knockoff Lego stuff, like that was basically just, it looks exactly like Lego, but they call it something else. Like there was a lot of knockoff Star Wars and Marvel superhero stuff, and they would just call well, Marvel and DC, and they just call it Heroes Assemble. And those minifigures looked pretty much the exact same. But they like I say, that was called like Heroes Assemble. What was really funny to me were the names that they gave to their knockoff Star Wars. I saw Space Battle, Star Plan, Stars Wars, Star Winners. It just changed the A in Wars to an N. I saw all of those as like examples of knockoff Lego. I'm like, if Lego or Disney saw that, they're not going to be tricked. Like, oh, Star Plan. Well, that's not us. I mean, it was clearly the exact same model of a Lego set. So that really cracked me up, seeing that stuff constantly throughout Asia. So here you can see that this is sort of becoming the Black Lion's head. Not too bad. Not too bad as so far. I wonder if that's not going to be his nose. No, he has a muzzle, so I guess I'm going to probably be building that next. I'm going to set this guy slightly aside and start building another part for it. Looks like I found at least most of the right bags to open to keep moving forward, so that's good. I'm having fun, and it's kind of nice to actually have people to talk to when I do this. Like I said, normally I will have on music or a podcast, and I find that pretty relaxing. But this is kind of fun too. I don't know how interesting it will be to people later, but it's worth a try. It's worth an experiment. Should I scroll it down? There we go. Sorry, just adjusting some windows here. I will say that I'm having fun. So, if I can even build one of these lions, I'll probably feel like I got my $25 worth. If I can build the whole set, I'll feel like I kind of got a good deal. But I don't know that I would do this a second time, or buy like a knockoff set like this a second time, if I knew that it was trying to sort of rip off an existing Lego property. And I didn't realize that they were making a LEGO Voltron set until I got home. I was wondering what this piece was, because it looks so strange, but I just realized that it's a stud remover. Like, you can clip it on and pop off the bricks. In official Lego sets, this is shaped slightly differently. It's orange, and there's usually like a peg here to help you like sort of insert and pop things off. It's also, with Lego, this is much thicker and stronger. This is a little flimsy, but it's still kind of cool that they give you this tool to break the set down if you need to. So that's good. All right, let's see, what else am I grabbing here? Some gray bricks. Where are you? I know you're in here somewhere. I would say that the popular toys in Asia, and again, just one person's opinion, hardly scientific, but I saw a lot of Lego there, real and knockoff. I saw plenty of real Lego there. I'm saying both Japan and Hong Kong. They have a lot of the same toys that are popular. Lego seems very popular, and so do Transformers. They have some Transformers that are not here in America, and some of them they have a little bit more. Like they'll have like some extra accessories or something than the ones that we get. Transformers still seemed quite popular. And then they have lots of nice figures based on stuff that's popular there, like Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Ultraman. Lots of stuff for that in both Japan and Hong Kong. Let's see. No Heart Feline says, podcasts are great because there's so much to choose from, niches of all sorts. I agree. I find that just my favorite stuff to do is veg out to podcasts. I like Harmontown, Dan Harmon, from stuff like Heat Vision and Jack, and Rick and Morty. I find him very, very interesting. Yeah, he's kind of a hero of mine, actually. Like, I just learn a lot from him in terms of rules for writing. Anyway, I like comedy shows that talk about bad movies. So I like The Flophouse. I like We Hate Movies. Sometimes I like How Did This Get Made? Those all make fun of sort of bad or weird movies. So those are some of the podcasts that I'll listen to pretty regularly. This feels like it's not quite clipping in at the right angle, but I think it's the closest I'm going to get. Okay, so be it. Legos are better than puzzles, in my opinion. This is Kenji. The Millennium Falcon Lego set was my favorite. Oh, did you get the $800 Millennium Falcon, the Ultimate Collector Series one? Because that's one that I want. And they had that one for $200, like a knockoff version, excuse me, a knockoff version for $200. But I said, that's still $200, and if it's missing bricks, or if the bricks are not clicking together quite right, that's a big investment. Now, $200 to $800 is huge savings, huge, but it's still $200. And if you're getting a set that's in some way slightly imperfect, I just couldn't risk it. I just couldn't. I was very tempted, but I couldn't do it. Anyway, yeah, there's a company called Lepin, Lepin, that appears to make a lot of Lego knockoff sets, and they seem popular, but I just couldn't count on the quality. This one I was paying $25 for and getting a lot of pieces, you know. So to me, $25 was an okay gamble. $200 wasn't. That's me, you know. Your mileage may vary, especially if maybe you do a review show of just Lego or toys or something like that. I totally understand that, but I can't pull the trigger on that. Okay, I'm trying to understand where they're... Okay. The directions are done differently than Lego, and you have to look really closely to see how these line up and where. But I think I can figure... I think I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it. Where's it? Come on. All right. A little harder to figure out than Lego. All right. Gotcha. Still doing okay. Still moving forward. But, yeah, when I was younger, I liked puzzles, too, a little bit. I liked puzzles. I find puzzles kind of relaxing. I agree that I prefer Lego sets, but puzzles can be kind of cool. I don't think I could really build puzzles these days because I have cats and I can sort of control a work area with some Lego bricks, but if I was putting out a huge puzzle, I don't know how I'd really cover and protect that from my little beasts. And I don't think they'd mean ill, but I think that they'd want to bat pieces around, and I just, yeah, I can't quite do that. Oh, this is such a funny little face that I'm making. I need a color. What else do I have here? They want me to get this. No Hurt Feline. Harmontown is so much fun. I recently started listening to some of Movie Sign with the Mads with Trace Bellew, Crow, Dr. Forrester, and Frank Conniff, TV's Frank. Oh, well, those are funny guys. I hope it's good. I haven't listened to that one yet. I'll have to look into it. Diego says, do you think Marvel Comics' current situation is as bad as people say it is? No. First of all, the comics could be doing better. It'll come in time. I don't think it's a mistake for them to be creating diverse characters and trying to reach out to new audiences. It's not always working. Sometimes these titles are getting canceled, but not all of them. And here's the thing. People will say, like, oh, these comics are massively underperforming. I don't think you could say anything is massively under or overperforming in the US market right now, because some of the best-selling comics of a certain month will only be about 200,000 copies. That is not that many. So if a comic is only selling something like, 8,000 copies, I don't think that that's that radically different than 200,000. I really don't. 200,000 to me is still not that many. And a lot of comics don't even hit anywhere close to that. Most don't. So do I think Marvel's doing that bad? No. They can afford to not be making massive profits right now as long as they're creating stories that can be used by the TV and movie divisions. Like, they could almost lose money, and Marvel would be fine for quite a while with their parent company. They'd just be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Sorry, having trouble finding a certain piece. I don't think any of them are doing that great. I was just in Japan, and they put out the weekly comic, Weekly Shonen Jump, among other anthologies. Shonen Jump sells almost 2 million copies every week. 2 million, compared to, at best, 200,000 a month. And think of that. Like, I want to say Japan has 30 million people? Somebody check me on that. America has 300 million. Our comics should be selling better, theoretically, much better. We've got a much bigger potential audience. So, I think that the biggest problem in comics right now is in America is its production model. It costs too much for a comic book to bring in new readers. It costs too much. We need to rethink that. You say, okay, put out an anthology on newsprint, maybe not even in color, and it's $2 or $3 for hundreds of pages. It's cheap. It's not designed to last forever like a collector's item, but it's fun and you sell tons of them. And then the titles that are the most popular, your Spider-Man, your Captain America, you collect those into trade paperbacks or something. Find a model like that, and I swear it would work. So like every month, you're putting out a full Spider-Man comic in color, but you're putting out tons more comics, and they're much more affordable. That's what I think we should be considering as a potential business model. Hi, Miles. Thanks for joining. So I don't think Marvel is way off the mark. Excuse me. Dry throat. Oh, I've got a drink here. Give me a sec. I think that it's hard to know what's good and what's bad and what's great, etc., when you're only selling, you know, 40,000 copies, 100,000 copies, 4,000 copies a month. Like that, none of that is enough to figure out what's working and what's not. It's very unscientific in a sense. It's too small of a fan base. So I think we need to find a way to make cheaper anthology comics. Like, what if you could get a Marvel or a DC comic with, say, 200 to 300 pages, get it every week, it cost you $3, but it wasn't in color, and each story was maybe only 10 pages, tops. Wouldn't you still think that that's a great deal? Like, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not into Miss Marvel, but I am into Hulk. And then, if you were like, I'm only really interested in Spider-Man. Well, then just wait and get like the Spider-Man compilation every month. That's what you're used to. I don't see why they can't figure that out as a production model. And digital comics should be a lot cheaper. I think that, you know, I don't know. All the comics companies basically make you pay the same amount for a digital copy as a print copy, and I don't understand that logic personally. I'm like, there should be some savings involved here. Then you'd sell a lot more copies. What if a digital comic was only 75 cents? Don't you think a lot more people would give it a try? I do. I think the music industry and the movie industry has figured out that if you make available your product for an affordable price, if you charge 99 cents or whatever for a song, and if you have streaming models on Amazon and Netflix, etc., people will support that. Most people don't need to bother with piracy. If they can get it easily for a fair price, they'll buy it. I think a lot of people would give comic books a try digitally for a cheap price. That's what I think. Miles says, the puzzles I like are spatial puzzles. I love the Think Fun brand for puzzles, and cats can't really get too much in the way of them. I don't know these. Think Fun brand puzzles. I don't know what this is. I'm ignorant. I'm not aware. But it sounds interesting. I'm looking for some pieces now. Let's see. Okay, we'll get 2 of these. That there. We'll need 2 grays just like that. I've got to have those somewhere, right? No? Yep. That. We're building it, folks. We're building it. Look at this funny muzzle. It's sort of coming together. It looks a little bit cat-like. A little. We'll see. We'll get there. What else? Some black ones. Drifting off here. What else? Yeah, Japan and Hong Kong were fantastic. I wish I spoke fluent Japanese. I am very tempted to start taking some classes if I could find them. I would love to go to Japan more often and really be able to engage with the people there. As it is, I only know, like, simple things like hello, thank you, excuse me. Unfortunately, honestly, most people speak English. It makes me feel ignorant, though. I'd like to be able to speak fluently to somebody in their language. That would be interesting and good to me. So, if I could do that, like, I would love to live and work in Japan, I think. I don't know, maybe I'd get bored of it. Maybe I'd start missing the U.S., but I like it there. I do. I like it a lot. I just wish that there was a little more space for when it comes to living. A lot of people there are totally fine with living in very small homes, which I'm not used to. That's the one part. It's a little tricky to get used to. But anyway. I like the food. People generally seem quite friendly. They seem to really respect artists. That's the thing I think I like the most about Japan. They respect artists. Although I have heard that they aren't as quick to give women a break. So that they may be a little slow to adopting that. I don't know. That's what I heard. I haven't lived there, so I can't speak to that. But I did hear that from some people that live there. Interesting. Are you hyped to see Infinity War? Absolutely I am. Absolutely I am. It looks like a blast. I'm definitely worried for a lot of our protagonists, a lot of our heroes. I think that there's a great chance that some of them could be killed off in this movie. Now, they might come back at some point, but I really think that they could be killed off. We'll see. It looks like a lot of fun. I think, so I was away when Pacific Rim Uprising came out and Ready Player One. I know that neither of those have gotten reviews that are off the charts, but I have Movie Pass, so I can see a movie a day for $8 a month. So I think I'm going to go see at least one of those tomorrow. I think I'd like to do that. It depends on how well my fiance feels. If I feel like she's feeling better and I can leave her alone, then I'll go to the movies. But if I feel like she's sick, then I'll put that off for a little bit. This is really coming together pretty well, actually. I'm really impressed so far. I'm thinking that I might have gotten a good deal. A couple parts are not quite as lined up as I'd like them to be, but they're certainly stuck together enough. So that's good. That's good. Let's see. Rush Hour is Think Fun's most popular puzzle. You get 40 puzzle setups in the box. Get the red car out of traffic. Okay, interesting. Miles says, I'm a Marvel Unlimited subscriber. I used to be. I might be again at some point. I don't mind waiting 6 months to read a book, and I kind of know what is good ahead of time. Yeah. Unlimited is a decent deal. Do you think Dan Slott will make a good work bringing the Fantastic Four back? Well, I'm a little alone, but not completely. I mean, I like Dan Slott's writing generally. I think that he has cool ideas and that he's kind of funny. I've got a friend or two that just don't like his work, don't like it. But I thought that, what do you call it? Superior Spider-Man. I thought that was an awesome arc. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. So his writing works for me. I remember way back in the day he did a Spider-Man Human Torch team-up book that just sort of focused on them through the years at different points in their career, and I really liked that. So I think he probably gets the personality of at least 25% of the team. Yeah, I'm actually curious enough that I think I'd like to pick that one up and give it a try. I think it looks kind of interesting. I'm trying to see which way I'm supposed to... Sorry, this is really dark to look at, their instructions. I'm having a little bit of hard time reading it, but I think that this is how it goes, and that makes sense. Okay, yep, that's snapped together right. And now this goes to the back. Oh, I think wait, is that right? Yeah, okay, I get it. So this is the lion's head, and apparently this is the Voltron robot's head back here, because it's sort of a transformer, right? trying to figure out how to get this to work. The way they show it on this set of instructions isn't quite working for me. I need to think this through. I'm at a slight impasse here. I'm gonna unhitch this and think it through. What did I just do? Oh. Okay, hold on. Might have figured it out. No. Nope, I didn't. Okay. I will though. I will figure it out. At some point. Okay, what else? I was just reading Slott's She-Hulk and didn't care for it, but it was a different take. Oh, I didn't read his She-Hulk, so I don't know about that one. I liked. Wait a minute. Who wrote She-Hulk when she was doing almost exclusively like lawyering stuff and? I think that Greg Horn was doing most of the covers, but I'm trying to think. I'm forgetting. Okay, I think I have to go back a couple steps. I'm a little distracted here. Let's try this. See if this looks any better. Or works any better. I love that LEGO has Doctor Who sets now. If only they'd make some Red Dwarf sets. Well, take a look at LEGO Ideas, because I feel like somebody has proposed that. There we go. Okay, I just had a brick slightly out of place. But now I think it's right. No, I'm still getting something wrong here. It's close to being right, but I'm just not... Oh, am I supposed to turn these in? Sorry, folks. This is, yeah, well, that's close enough. I have to keep moving. Oh, that was Slott? Then I like that, actually. I thought that was interesting. What was it? The Two-Gun Kid, was he like her sidekick during a lot of that storyline? And Awesome Android? Anyway. I really liked his original Renew Your Vows miniseries, and Superior Spidey was great, but I don't know how I feel about Peter Parker being Tony Stark. Well, I guess I thought that was just an interesting thing worth exploring, and I feel like it's not going to stay the status quo forever, so I'll just enjoy it for now. I like seeing Peter Parker having to step up to adult responsibilities. I feel like that's a character that's constantly, excuse me, constantly sort of being reverted to like a young man, almost a child. And I kind of want him to grow up a little. But I understand if Marvel doesn't want to do that for all the fans. So we'll see. Okay, I'm going to put this aside and move on. I'm taking too long. I need to speed things up, right? Boy, the printing on this seems okay at first on the directions, but then I look and it can be really hard to look at the subtle differences. I'm like, is this just a regular brick, or is it a brick with, you know, like a little? Is it this brick? It's this brick, but it's hard to tell sometimes on the instructions because it's printed quite dark. But I can have that problem with regular Lego too. Sometimes you're not always sure whether you're looking at a light gray or a dark gray or something. So this printing is okay. Could be better. I saw so many movies on the plane ride to and from Asia because it's a long plane ride, and I just couldn't get comfortable enough to allow myself to really go to sleep. I napped a little here and there, but not much. So let's see. Not all of these are good, but I saw what? I saw Coco. That was really good, actually. I'd heard that it was good, but it was really good. Saw Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Again, really strong movie. I watched Daddy's Home 2, which I did not think was good at all. That was quite bad. Not very funny. I saw the Lego Ninjago movie, and I was disappointed. I wasn't really... Maybe I was tired, but I didn't think it was that funny. I liked the Lego movie, and I liked the Lego Batman movie okay, too. But I didn't think Lego Ninjago movie was that great. And I rewatched Star Wars Last Jedi because I really enjoyed that. So that helped pass the time. I watched Darkest Hour. Good movie. I watched The Florida Project. Great movie. Florida Project was amazing. Really, really liked that one. Very impressive. Willem Dafoe was especially incredible, but it felt very real to me. Like, felt very grounded and real. What else? I saw a documentary on Kim.com. He's the guy that created Mega Upload. Kind of popularized a lot of, what do you call it, like file sharing? Kind of infamous in a way. It was an interesting documentary, though. What else did I see? I'm thinking. I know I saw more. I saw Jumanji and I saw Baywatch. I just was like, all right, I'll see some comedies with The Rock. They were okay. Not bad, not great. Jumanji was probably better than Baywatch. What else did I watch? I felt like I saw some other things on the plane, but I'm not remembering them right now, so... I rewatched a bunch of Deadpool, but I just sort of fast-forwarded to the action stuff on that because I was just trying to keep myself interested. But Deadpool's good. What did I think of Black Panther? Black Panther was fantastic. Black Panther was a really good movie. Yeah. Two thumbs way up. It was a good movie. Looking forward to seeing that again at some point. Excuse me. Just, yeah, all right. Trying to read these directions, move forward. How long have I been doing this? I've already been doing this for over an hour. I guess I'm going a little slow, but I'll just try to finish at least most of this and then take a break. There we go. It was nice to catch up on a bunch of like the sort of Oscar type movies that I'd missed. I really liked Coco. I really liked The Florida Project, and Darkest Hour and Three Billboards were also quite good. I was worried they might be a little boring or something, but no, neither was boring. Like none of them were boring. Only one I really regret watching was Daddy's Home 2. Like, I kept sort of expecting something funny to happen there, and it never really did. I thought that was pretty bad. None of them really have characters. They just do stuff. Like, I don't know. There was nothing to it. Dumb. Need you. And you, and you, and one more of you. Where are you? Aha. I think the music was the standout in Black Panther. You know, I feel like Marvel's really been working on making better music for their feature films because they were criticized for making some sort of generic, unmemorable scores. I do think that the Avengers has a strong hook. I think that people could hum the Avengers theme song. You're a little challenged to remember any of the music from like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, but Thor Ragnarok had a really interesting score. Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo worked on that, and like when he gets to Sakaar and it starts getting all electronic, I thought that was really different and fun, and helped identify it as going like a sort of different place. And then it sounded traditional and still cool when he would go to like Asgard. So yeah, that was good. I think that they've been stepping up in general on that. I remember thinking that the score for Spider-Man Homecoming was decent. So I feel like it's something Marvel's possibly been trying to focus a little more effort on lately. It's just a guess, but I think that they have. Oh, I need one of these. I don't understand why DC doesn't just keep using like the classic Batman and Superman music. I guess it could be argued that if you played the John Williams Superman theme and the Tim Burton Batman theme, that maybe it would take people out of those the new movies and just make you quickly think of the old ones. But I'm not sure. To me, like when I hear that, I just think Superman. I think Batman, and they're really, really well done. So if I was DC, I would still be using those. In Justice League, they used the tiniest hint of each the Superman and Batman themes that I'm talking about. But I think they should have just gone full blown with it, like really given us the music we love. I don't know, that's me. I was a big fan of Taika Waititi, so I was excited for Ragnarok. His films What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People are fantastic. That's no hurt feline, but I totally agree. I have also been a fan of Taika for quite a while. I remember watching his first movie, Eagle versus Shark. I liked, what else has he done? Well, he did some stuff on Flight of the Conchords, but yeah, Hunt for Wilder People and especially What We Do in the Shadows are both really cool, funny movies. He's when they hired him, I was like, totally on board. But I've often gotten excited by like some of the directors Marvel has selected for their films. I think that they I was really excited for James Gunn coming onto Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that he's proven to be a great voice for that. I was definitely sad when things didn't work out with Edgar Wright for Ant-Man, because I thought that would have been a fantastically original voice for sort of a B, maybe even C level character. Now I do think that Ant-Man ended up coming out surprisingly pretty good, but it probably could have been a lot more unique if Edgar Wright had had his way. Excuse me. Still sort of congested. I completely agree with the DCU music themes. Why won't they pull on those heartstrings? It is there. It's powerful. Use it. That's what I think. Now, they did create a good Wonder Woman theme. They did. I think Wonder Woman's theme is really cool. Like the new one that they've made for it. So, they did well there. Everything else, like Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice is like, that's really generic and forgettable to me. But I think the worst music that the DC expanded universe has given us was the Suicide Squad. Oh my God, it was like every 5 minutes a new song would kick in. Not a score, but like an actual like hit song from like anywhere between the 60s and the 80s, and it was all on the nose, and it was all just like, I'm like, what am I watching? It was like the movie kept resetting with like, here's another hit, you know. I was like, this is terrible. This isn't giving me any emotional connection to the characters. It was just that was some of the worst scoring I've seen in a big movie in a while. I thought Suicide Squad was really bad. Oh, thanks, No Hurt Feeling. He acknowledged my sneeze. My gross, disgusting sneeze. So it looks like, even though the bags weren't numbered, I clearly stumbled across the 2 or 3 that I needed to create this particular character. So, you know, it's a little bit of trial and error at first, but at least the stuff that you need seems to be bagged together. So I wasn't opening 20 bags at once. I was really scared that that was going to happen, and I was going to be hunting across all of them. But at least it seems that almost all of it is together in one place. So that's good. That's helpful. Here we go. Is that a flat one? There. Perfect. Okay. Okay. That goes there. I'm looking for a very small yellow brick right now. Oh, now I'm thinking of Elton John. So goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. I won't sing anymore, or YouTube's algorithm will tag that and demonetize my video. They really do not want you to have fun. No, I'm just being a jerk. Let's see. Can I do this upside down? Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Is it like that? Well, I'm confused for a second. Hold on. Oh, I see why this was like that. Okay, hold on. Okay, that's better. I had put something slightly out of place, but now it's looking better. So I've got this, and I've got this, and voila. Good. It's getting weird, but I'm following the directions, so it's heading somewhere. No hurt feline. I'm a female, by the way. Did I address you as a male? I'm sorry if I made that assumption. I might have. Sorry about that if I did. I'm watching you put this thing together, and I have to wonder who the heck figured out this thing in the first place. Yeah, well, I guess some engineer saw the pitch on LEGO Ideas and just figured it out themselves. I really admire people that can think three-dimensionally like that and design LEGO, understanding how you have to layer bricks in certain patterns so that it really sticks together. Yeah, I can't quite do that. They used to make these sets to teach you how to be a LEGO engineer. I don't know how many they made, but they used to make a few, and they would like the book would be absolutely massive, teaching you all the different sort of techniques that LEGO engineers utilize, and you could sort of go through more and more complex projects to learn how it all works. I think I have one of those that I've never opened. I'm pretty sure I still have one of those somewhere. Now I've got that Elton John song going in my head. Yellow Brick Road. That's what I've been listening to. Lately I've been listening to a bunch of Nirvana and Elton John. Those are two things that I've been listening to a lot lately. I don't know why. Transformers and Legos have remarkable engineering behind them. Boy, they really do. They really do. Um, yeah, I admire that. And I only recently realized that the Transformers that they make today don't just transform, they're posable. The Transformers usually have legs and arms and stuff, and even heads that really move around. I picked one up not too long ago. I hadn't looked at them in a long time, but like it's just amazing how posable and stuff they are. So I like that. Rawr, outstanding. Anyway, when I was a kid, Transformers transformed, and maybe you were lucky if their arms moved a little. These days they're quite posable, so that's impressive. All right, what else am I looking for? I think I'm getting more and more distracted because I'm just a little bit tired finally, and so be it. I don't know if Karen is still here, but she kept telling me to try My Hero Academia, a manga, and I've really gotten into it. And I was reading it on my trip. It's one of the comics that I'm enjoying quite a bit right now is My Hero Academia. Reminds me kind of early Spider-Man type stuff because it's like a young hero. He's kind of noble and good, but he has all sorts of problems that he has to deal with, and I don't know. Gets my recommendation if you're curious about a new comic. I know some people are generally not too interested in manga. I can totally understand that because there's plenty of bad stuff out there, but My Hero Academia is relatively new, and I think it's really fun. Miles says, I just made my Transformers say raw hard. It made him laugh. Yeah, I probably did. Diego says, Masterpiece Transformers in particular are truly impressive. Yeah, I don't have any of those or anything. I'm trying, even though I've got this Grimlock and a couple others, because I'm trying to basically build the combiner of the Dinobots, you know, like he's got arms and legs with the other Dinobots and becomes a really big Transformer. I've got that. I just got one while I was on vacation. Really, my fiance got it for me, a triple changer that I thought looked really cool. But I'm trying to tell myself, like, you do not need another collection, you know? So I'm trying to sort of like resist Transformers, as cool as they are. I just can't really afford to get into another collection of any kind. I just don't have that kind of cash, and it takes up space. So anyway, trying to say no to that, but I like it. No Hurt Feline. Suya Asui, the one with the frog quirk, is my favorite. She's pretty great. What she always do, say like, call me Tsuya, because everyone calls her Asui. Call me Tsuya. Yeah, that's cute. Something not right about how this one connected. Let me take a quick look here. Okay, so we've got that. We've got a 3-piece there. We've got this. Yeah, I built it the way they're saying. Okay. And then like that. Okay. There we go. I had built something slightly incorrectly. You can't really make mistakes with Legos because if you don't catch it right away, it can really bite you down the road. So, gotta pay closer attention. I started watching One Piece because you mentioned it. Weird series. I am trying to figure out how it is the best-selling manga of all time. Well, small spoiler, I will have an episode trying to figure that exact question out, Miles, because One Piece is interesting. There's stuff I like about it. It's not my personal favorite comic of all time, but I understand where some of its popularity comes from, I think. So that is something I will be addressing in an episode. Why is it so popular? But yeah, it's not one of my all-time favorites personally. Mm. I like stuff by Naoki Urasawa. I like Monster and Pluto, etc., etc. I could go on forever. All right, what do I got here? I got this. It's the main part, and then this goes sideways, and is that right? Just making sure before I connect something that I'm reading the map right. The map. Not really a map. Okay, yeah. There. It's sort of his shoulder. Okay. Oh, I was thinking of this wrong. I thought that this was the lion's head, but now I get it. There's the lion. There's his shoulder. This is going to be his hindquarters. Okay. And this rotates down to be Voltron's head. But for now, I'm making the black line. Okay. Maybe there's a disconnect between the anime and manga, but there are a ton of episodes, so I'm not sure. Well, I don't know really anything about the anime. Don't watch a lot of it anymore, so I can't speak to that. But One Piece has been going for over 20 years, so there is a lot of story there. There's a lot of story. Give Ranma one half a chance. Just a light, fun martial arts teenage angst manga. Okay, I will keep that in mind, and hopefully someday I can get to it. But I have a lot on my plate right now, so it might not be right away. But I will keep that in mind. I always appreciate recommendations. That's how I find the best comics, is by people saying, well, this is what I loved, and seeing where that goes. There we go, reaching across for various bricks. But there's definitely plenty of great American comics that I'm enjoying. I'm mostly enjoying Image right now, to be honest. Image is probably producing the most stuff that I like. I like Saga. I like Kill or Be Killed. I still read all of Kirkman's books. Yeah, I'm trying to think. DC is doing good stuff, obviously. I read the stuff by writer Tom King. I read Batman and Mr. Miracle, but I tend to get it in trades, so I'm behind wherever it is right now. But I do really like what he's doing, and trying to think of what in Marvel I really love right now. I'd have to think about it. I'd really have to think about it. I do like Jason Aaron's Thor, but then that also makes me think of how what I really like is Jason Aaron and Jason Latour on Southern Bastards at Image. That's a great book. I guess I like Spider-Gwen, because I like that. Jason Latour is a talented guy. I like Spider-Gwen. I like Miss Marvel. I like Thor. I guess now that I'm thinking of it, I kind of like a lot of their female characters. Hadn't really thought about that. Probably just a coincidence that they just have good teams on them. Oh, I do personally like Dan Slott's Spider-Man. So I'm reading that. But yeah, I'm not reading tons of ongoing books. I tend to catch them up. I tend to catch up on them in trade paperback form. And so when it comes to like modern stuff, I can sometimes be a little behind, because for my show, I sort of bounce around between old and new, independent and mainstream, foreign and American. So I'm all over the place there, and that can sort of affect how I can only read so many books at once. I gotta look at this map a little closer. Black Bolt is a great comic book, says Diego. Interesting. Do you like any graphic novels by Daniel Clowes or Chris Ware? Yeah, definitely. Let me think. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what I did. What's the Daniel Clowes book that I loved? What's the Chris Ware book that I... You know, I'm just too tired right now, folks. I'm not thinking as fast as I should be. What was... I don't know. I've read stuff by both of them that I really like. Something by Chris Ware that was like Jimmy what? It's not coming to me. Clowes, I like 8 Ball and Hate. Those are good. I like that Spider-Gwen took off, but I really think the costume had a lot to do with it. Beautiful costume. Yeah, no question there. Robbie Rodriguez knocked it out of the park with that design. That is just one of the best designs I've seen for a superhero comic in quite a while. I agree, it's fantastic. What are some of the all-time best superhero costumes? I think that Spider-Man is way up there. I think Batman and Superman deserve a lot of credit for sort of creating something popular that everything else is to a degree looking at. And it holds up. What else is really good for a superhero look? Jimmy Corrigan, the smartest. Is it smartest kid on earth or is it smartest boy? Something like that. Gersa Gorsh joins us. That's awesome. Yeah, I was thinking of Jimmy Corrigan for Chris Ware. I like that book quite a bit. But it's been a long time since I read it. I just realized. So it might be time for a reread on that one. Yeah, that's funny because isn't James Corrigan also the name of the Spectre at DC Comics? I think it is. Which is kind of a funny coincidence. I really like the original Captain Marvel's costume. Yeah, that's true. That was pretty cool. I was so disappointed when they took away Soup's red undies. Me too. I feel like it adds a color interest and it breaks the lines up. I don't care how realistic or not it is to say that that's underwear on the outside. It's like, I don't care what you call it. It looks good. It looks right to me when he has those sort of red tights on. That's my opinion. I am pro red tights on Superman. Ready? Come on, why aren't you going in? There we go. Okay, so we've got both of his shoulders there. That looks nice. And obviously there's pegs for his legs, so he's still got more. And then we've got sort of a bit of Voltron's main body here too. So that's starting to come together. I like that when you're building a Lego set and all of a sudden it starts to make a little bit of sense. I really liked the actor who played Bolt, but this voice, brother. What? Wait, what are you saying, Gersa Gorsh? The actor who played Bolt? Are you talking about Black Bolt? Or that animated comic, like cartoon about a dog? I don't know. Maybe I missed something in the conversation. Sorry. Sorry to get confused. All right, pulling out some more pieces here. Let's see. One misstep here. So, finally getting into some of this yellow. Oh, maybe I'll have to open another bag because I'm not seeing the piece I need right now. Wish my throat would stop bothering me. Maybe not. Let's see. I need one of those. Need a 1x3. Nope. Oh, there it is. Okay. That Black Bolt. You like the actor who played Black Bolt on that TV show? I didn't watch all of Inhumans. I ended up losing interest. I like some of the Blue Beetle's costumes. Yeah, Blue Beetle does have a pretty cool look. I liked how Kevin Maguire illustrated Black Bolt with really thick black lines breaking things up instead of like sort of a more normal thin line. I guess my language skills are deteriorating, but yeah, these are good ideas for great costumes. What else stands out as really unique and memorable? Like, there's plenty of characters that have costumes that are good. Like Thor or Flash. Those are good costumes. I don't know that they're all-time great. I'm trying to think of like all-time great. I think Storm of the X-Men, her original look is really, really strong. It's sort of its era. It might be a little too dated now, but it was really cool in the 70s and moving into the 80s. So what else? Wolverine looks kind of iconic outside of his costume, I think. I mean, he's got a good costume, but I think his actual sort of hair and short stature and the claws really make him himself, Wolverine, look good and memorable. I'm really sorry about that cough. I hate coughing in public. I don't want to gross anybody out. What is this for? Oh, I see. Okay. How many new characters would Rob Liefeld normally introduce in one book? Oh, yeah, 6? He was all for introducing new characters all the time, but kind of derivative a lot of the time. But he obviously proved himself to be kind of self-aware this past week when he designed a character called like the Pouch that was comprised entirely of pouches and had a pouch gun that shoots more pouches. So that was pretty funny. Give him props for that. He seems to at least be self-aware. Cyclops blue and yellow was iconic. I really didn't like the black and red X thing, but I don't think we were supposed to. Good point, Miles. And the visor itself is really strong. That's good. Now, there was a character before him that had that look, but still, Cyclops looks great. Yeah, he's really strong. I'm just trying to think of like if you just sort of thought superhero and you saw tons of comic books across the shelves, forgetting like the logo or what's happening on the cover, like what characters instantly stand out so much that even if they were completely in silhouette, you'd recognize them instantly. Certainly like Batman, you would. Spider-Man, you probably would because he's so lithe, and if you gave him like the webbed arms, maybe. So yeah. Wolverine's cowboy hat, white shirt, blue jeans, and huge belt buckle are great, says the guy from Texas. Maybe Hawkeye. Hawkeye does have a really interesting look. Original, sort of like with the purple mask and such. Yeah, that's pretty unique. That's a good point. He's not bad. I think he could be easily overlooked, and I think that they've sort of tried to make him look more like the movie version now, with just sort of like sunglasses, essentially. But Hawkeye looks kind of cool with his costume. You know what? Who's good is Captain America, and Captain America is a little derivative of the Shield from, Archie comics. But he looks good, and there's ways like to have updated his costume that look cool, So I like Captain America's costume a lot. I think he's pretty recognizable, no matter how he's presented. Okay, so I do this, and then grab this screen and this screen, put them here. Well, I'm building Voltron. Like, did any of you grow up like I did with Japanese cartoons being, translated into English? And like, what do you remember of them? Because when I was growing up, there was Voltron and Guy King, and there was Spaceship. What was it called? Like Space Battleship Yamamoto? It's hard to remember because I was honestly very young at the time, but I remember that those were some of the cartoons that were brought here and aired. They were very popular. I need to find a gray flat book out of all these. There we go. There you are. John Vasquez parodied some Liefeld-esque characters in an issue of Squee. Did he? Oh, man. I might have read that back in the day, but I don't really remember it now. Yonan Vasquez, right? Man, my friend Nate Belgard was a huge fan of him when he was coming out with his comics. I remember he used to lend me some of them, and that was kind of cool. All right, now I'm going to switch them over here. Oh, I see. Look at that. Like, some of the Black Lion has the color interest of the lions that will, like, be joining there. Like, the green lion will attach here, and on this side it'll be the red lion. So I'm going to be building with some red bricks. That's kind of cool. I'm very tired. No hurt feline. If you're tired, I think you should go to sleep. That's the perfect solution. I'm going to go to sleep soon. I'm going to finish building this guy, and I'm going to go to bed. But I've still got a little ways to go. Oh, that didn't clutch very tightly. Wow. It's the first time I've had one that's pretty darn loose. Okay, it won't quite come off if I just shake it, but it still feels loose. I only remember Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura from my childhood. This is McNuggy, welcome. First here in Poland, Voltron and General Deimos. I don't know General Deimos. I don't think I know that one. And some light stuff like Gigi. Huh. Yeah, for me it was all just like I remember it was Space Battleship Yamamoto and Voltron were the two big ones. Oh, and Battle of the Planets I think was one that was on when I was really, really little. Yeah. Of course, back then, and I'm talking like I was like pre-kindergarten, and these shows were on. The interesting thing was, I remember, I didn't even know that there was such a thing as imported cartoons. So to me, they were just cartoons. But they felt so different, you knew even as a kid that the animation was somehow different than what you were used to. It looked more maybe painted or not quite real, but just different. And so you just sort of knew that, but you didn't know about like, them being imported and dubbed and stuff like that. Too young to know about that. There was no internet to tell us about anything. Okay, now I'm going to build a bunch of stuff in gray. That'll be boring to look at. But hopefully fun to build. Hopefully. Is this what I need? Maybe. Pulling pulling out some blocks here, some bricks. Give me them good bricks. I don't think they knew everyone would miss Hawkeye in the marketing all of a sudden. People seem to really not like movie Hawkeye before this. I like Hawkeye. I thought that Jeremy Renner did a fine job at a version of Hawkeye. It is strange that he's not showing up in too much of the, or really any of the advertising. Yeah, you have to wonder, does that mean that they're going to, kill him off or give him a side story that like really would give away what the overall plot is or something? But we speculate about trailers a lot these days, and when I was a kid, we'd see a trailer and just forget about it because they never really spoiled anything. And you couldn't rewatch them. You just see it, if it was either a TV ad or it was before a movie. And then by the time you finished watching the actual movie, you forgot about it. So trailers are much more intensely scrutinized than I recall them being when I was young. Maybe I'm still young. Younger, I'll say. There we go, 2 of these. Just setting aside what I need to use for the next step. Hawkeye is the Soul Stone, yeah. Let's see, Gershigor says that in Poland they had Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, Slayers. I'm aware that those exist. I've never seen any of them. I've never seen any of it. It was just after my time, I was too old, so I wasn't watching any of those. I've never seen Dragon Ball. I've never seen Sailor Moon. I don't know. I don't really know anything about them. Sometimes we have these sort of blind spots in pop culture, just something that other people seem to know that we don't, and for me, that's some of it. And this and this. Okay. Now what? Now we build what seem like they're going to be some legs, I think. I have to flip this guy upside down. Slayers was fun, says Miles. Not aware at all of what that one's about, I'm afraid. Total blind spot. Is this right? Yeah. Okay. Looks like it's funny. This really condenses all the steps, so you have to read the directions much more carefully than I'm used to reading for like Lego instructions, which sort of take you through a little more step by step. But I think that these knockoffs are trying to sort of like literally save on the printing costs by just condensing a bunch of the steps. So that is one. I'm more of a cyberpunk anime fan, but those I've mentioned, I've watched all episodes. That's Gersh. And then Diego says, imagine Hawkeye swallowing the Soul Stone in the beginning of the movie, and it's just him running away from Thanos the whole movie. I think that's exactly what happens. I think you just guessed it. And you spoiled it for all of us. Diego. Miles says, Hawkeye running for the entire movie made me laugh out loud way too hard. Thanks, Diego. Hawkeye just running. It's like, leave me alone. Don't kill me. Please. Oh, I've got is a bow and arrow, and I'm all out of arrows. Could happen. Maybe it will happen. Is that the next big movie to come out? Probably is, right? I can't think of what else comes out between now and the end of the month, Infinity War. Maybe there's another big movie, but I'm not thinking of it. Okay, you're around like this. I need one of you, and one of you, and one of you. Okay, clicking on. And again, I haven't shown you this in a while, but let me just try to find the right angle in the light here. It's just ever so grimy. You can see fingerprints on this in person. I guess I can't quite focus the camera on it enough. It's a little gross. It's just a little bit of probably like grease from the production line, but in Lego, you know, that would never, the bricks come out pristine, very, very clean. Rhyming by accident. Still, we haven't come across a missing piece. It's all clicking together, so, you know, no big complaints really. Certainly not at the price that I paid. That's good. I mean, I've been doing this for 2 hours, and admittedly I've been going slow because I'm talking to people. But, you know, I'm coming up on like, you know, the amount of money you'd spend for like, you know, a movie. You know, $25 for this whole set, and I haven't even finished building the first lion yet. So as long as everything's complete, I will say that this is a good value. I'm just trying to withhold a little bit of skepticism. I don't want to just say that I love it yet. Just not that easy. There we go. Oh, and I'm having trouble making this stick together. See that? I gotta have a little of this drink. Okay. As long as you're having fun, it's worth it. That's right, Miles. And Miles reminds me that the remake of Overboard is coming out before Infinity War. I remember watching the original Overboard as a kid. It was a little funny because, you know, it's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, and they're talented people. But boy, what a problematic story that was, with like Kurt Russell sort of like tricking this poor woman with amnesia into thinking that she had to take care of all these kids. There was something quite disturbing about it, and I don't know if the remake will really be able to make that idea okay. Like lying to someone and sort of making them your work slave. I don't know. And then if sex enters the equation, I mean, that's really problematic. Who knows? But hey, as long as everybody learns a lesson by the end, right? As long as everybody learns a lesson, how bad could it be? You just got to learn a lesson. I know I learned my lesson. My lesson is build, build, build. I have some fun stuff coming up, guys. I filmed episodes of Comic Tropes in both Japan and Hong Kong, and I'm going to announce an ongoing contest pretty soon. I'll have that video up this week, I think, explaining the rules. But it's purely fun. I don't think anyone will dislike it. I think it should be a good way to build our community, sort of interact with each other a little bit more, hopefully. I've got some funny Japanese toys to review. I think that will be unique and fun. So I've got a lot of stuff, and I want to live stream some art this week. I want to draw. It's been a while since I've been able to sit down and draw because I've been out of the country for a while. But I would really like to take some time to just sit down and draw some stuff. We shall see. I don't know what I would draw right now. I should really try to draw some pages so that I can, like, practice not just drawing a good person, but like backgrounds and interaction and panel-to-panel storytelling. That's all really important to comics, and that would be fun to practice. So anyway, got a lot of content coming up beyond just Comic Tropes. I'm going to have a few more extra things. So, I don't know if I'll do another live stream of this. I think I'll probably just put the rest of it together and maybe just do a quick review overall, and that this is just sort of a one-off experiment. But just wanted to let you guys know there's definitely some fun stuff coming, and we've got, Avengers. I've got to do a review of some sort of a comic that has to do with the Avengers, don't I? For Infinity War, and I'm coming up on my 100th episode, so maybe I can do something special there too. I don't know. Excuse me, but definitely a lot of stuff coming soon to the channel. So any help you can give spreading the word. I feel like channel's still pretty small. Takes time to reach new people. I'd love to reach more, because the more people I reach, the more opportunity I have to actually make a small amount of money with it, and then if I can make anything with it, I can invest in some comics and some props and things like that as time goes on. So that I'd like to do those things. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, lots of new fun stuff coming soon. Let's see. You should have fans submit 2-page scripts. That sounds like a lot of work for me, though. Because then I'd feel obligated to read a lot of stuff potentially, and I don't know. It's not a bad idea at all, but you know who might? I think like a channel that was specifically devoted to the craft of writing, not just reviewing comics and talking about like them, might be a better place for that. I don't know. I'd like to do something like that, Miles. I just don't really know if I could set aside the appropriate amount of time to do it well. Because if I'm going to do it, I want to give it my all, and I don't know if I'd have the time to read, and then critique or review scripts all the time, even if it was just 2 pages. Although I'd have to think about it. Also, even if I did that, is there really, like, I could give my opinions on what works or doesn't in terms of structure or character, et cetera, but does that really benefit anybody that much? Because I'm not an editor or anything like that. Like, I can't I can't give somebody work in the industry or connect them to somebody who can. I'm not in a position to be able to do that. So I don't know if it would be a benefit to people taking the time to send things like that to me. I'd have to think about that. Okay, so let's see. We've got this, and we've got this. So we click it together there. And then what? And then what? Is that right? That might not be right. No, I guess it is. Okay, good. Yeah, because now he can sort of stand. Yeah, we lower that a little. Yeah, that looks good. All right, ta-da! I've built a front and back leg. So I'm getting there with this one guy. An art contest would be interesting. That is something that I think I could do a lot faster and potentially reward people for. So keep that in the back of your minds. I might be able to do some sort of an art contest. 2-page scripts for you to draw is what I meant. For me to draw? You want me to draw other people's stuff? My voice is cracking. I'm so surprised. My voice is cracking because of all the congestion. I sound ridiculous. Wow, that's now you've got me not just reading them but drawing them as well. What kind of time do you think I have on my hands, Miles? This is bonkers. Hey, happy birthday, Cosmos Toby, also known as Gershagorsh, says today is his birthday. Happy birthday. That's really awesome. Oh, I didn't know what to draw. I see what you're suggesting, Miles. I did say I wanted to do a live stream. I wanted to draw, and I didn't know what I wanted to draw. Miles is saying people could submit their scripts, and I could choose one and draw that. That is a little more reasonable. I get where you're coming from there, but I think of myself as a writer first. I like to draw, but I think of myself more as a writer. So I would probably want to draw something that I wrote. It's a fun contest idea. You do have a good idea there, but I think I'd want to draw my own things. We'll see. For a time when I was living in DC, I was teaching a writing for comics class. There was a writing center that taught. There was just a huge building like where you could sign up to learn how to write all sorts of things, poems, books, just character arcs, all sorts of things like that. And someone offered a huge grant to the Writer's Center if they could find somebody to submit a course and teach a course in writing for comics. And along with some friends, we were approached and we created that. I went on to teach several semesters of that, and I had a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So I did teach a writing for comics class for some time, and some of my students did go on to get some of their comics published, which made me very, very happy for them. Zane Grant did some stuff. What's his name? Evan Valentine now writes for Collider, covering all sorts of comic stuff. He's a talented guy. One of my students, Rebecca Goldberg, I want to say. Sorry, it has been several years since I've seen these people. Wrote a nonfiction story, an adaptation of an early explorer who was captured by Native Americans and held as a prisoner and kept a diary. She turned that into a comic. So anyway, yeah, it was really great teaching that class. I did like that. But I'm also not a professional. You know, I mean, I've had stuff published, but I don't make my full-time living as a comic book creator. So anyway, but yeah, that was really fun actually. That was a good time, and I co-taught that class with one of my best friends, a guy named Jason Rodriguez, who's published several comics of his own. And he still teaches all sorts of writing classes back in DC, and he's just put together a comic book anthology by one of his classes, all Latino kids, teenagers, young teenagers. They wrote their own comics, and he got it published. And I'm sorry, right now I can't think of the name of the book. It just came out within like the last week or two. I'm talking too quietly. Let's see. Gershigorsh says, thank you, I really made it, and thank the Lord for that. Yeah, happy birthday again. Miles says, pick the best 2-page spread and draw the one you like the best. Well, I'll think about it. McNuggy says, I think a closet cosplay contest would also be pretty funny. Oh man, that sounds like asking a lot out of people, but that would be really cool, I admit. Yeah, like to see what people could create cosplay wise. Man, I wish I could. I don't know that I could reward that properly. The amount of work it would take to create an amazing costume. So, cool idea though. Very fun. What else? Let's see. Okay, I've got this, and now I need that brick. And what else? These two, and one of these. What else? Oh yeah, that guy. Where are you? Where are you hiding? Do you have anything out there I can pick up and read? I'm sorry, I thought you were just an artist. Just? Let me think for a second. I'm not sure that I have anything that I've written that you could easily get a hold of right now, because I think it's all out of print. You could see some of my art in books like Trickster or Colonial Comics Volume 1 and Volume 2. Those are anthologies, so I only wrote, illustrated short stories in them. It's not a book of like 200 pages by me, but those are some books that I've illustrated that you can find in, any old bookstore out there or Amazon, etc. See, at one point I was part of a group that we established in DC. It was called the DC Conspiracy. And we would self-publish comic book anthologies pretty regularly. But when I moved 4 years ago, I didn't keep working with them, so I'm not sure what comics they may or may not have for sale. I did a lot of anthologies with them. Like I know I did horror, romance, war, sci-fi. These were all like stuff I wrote and illustrated stories in. Some sort of a superhero book done Exquisite Corpse style called Dr. Dreamo. Oh, and they publish a newspaper like every couple of months that they give out for free. A newspaper of nothing but comics. It's called The Magic Bullet. And I did at least one story in that. But I don't know if any of those back issues are for sale. I'm sorry. It's been too long. I mean, it's been 4 years now, so I don't know what of any of that material is available. But the group was called DC Conspiracy. And I did a lot of stuff with them. We self-published our own work. And made it available because there were so many of us, and we'd go to different conventions and sell it ourselves. And some of it's available on their website as back issues, but I don't know what. It's been too long since I've looked. I'm so sorry about my cough. It's gross. Miles says that he used to do corporate and technical training. I loved being in front of the class lecturing. As long as I know what I'm talking about, I love being in front of an audience. I like presenting stuff. But the trick, of course, is being very familiar with the subject matter, knowing what you need to talk about. Going up in front of a crowd of strangers and not knowing what you're going to say, I could see that being very, very intimidating. When I was in college, I used to do a little improv and a bunch of stand-up comedy. And I miss that. I stopped doing it when I graduated. One of my friends at the time was Ken Jeong, who most people know these days as Dr. Ken, because he also became a doctor while we were all buddies. And, oh, I did this in reverse, didn't I? Oops, hold on, I gotta take a couple bricks apart. I made a small mistake. Very small, because I'm smart. Yeah, that was fun. I miss doing stand-up sometimes. But you can only do so many creative projects at any one time, I've found. So I sort of let that one fall by the wayside while I worked on establishing my first career and just working on artwork and stuff like that. But maybe someday I'll get back into it. Who knows? Who knows? Wait, what? Oh, this is supposed to be on this side. Closet cosplay is dressing up as a character using only clothes in your closet. I know how expensive actual cosplay can get. Cosplayers are pretty amazing. That's all from McNuggy. Oh, I've never heard of that. Closet cosplay. That's clever. Just using what you have in your... Oh, come on. Have in your closet. That's clever. I like that. Okay, what am I building here? I got it. Put that there. How badly did I mess up here? Not too badly. Not too badly. Okay. I'm rebuilding a part that I put on backwards, basically. Oops. Oopsie doopsie. What a wild and wacky mistake. I did theater for a few years. I miss it. Career came first, though. That's from Miles. Yeah, I bet that lots of people have applied their trade on the stage in some form or another and then moved on. And, you know, that's life, but, yeah, you sometimes still wonder, like, what if I'd stuck with it? Would it have gone anywhere? I don't know. But several of my friends went on to become professional actors and comedians, and several of them have gone on to become professional comic book artists and writers, and it can be very intimidating to sort of have that out there, like that some of your friends are have achieved those creative dreams, and you didn't necessarily go for it, you know? So, dare I let that haunt me? Dare I? Nah. I'll just keep working on my own stuff, and maybe something hits and maybe not. We'll see. That looks cool so far. All right, so we're getting there. We've got like we've got 4 legs for this guy, which is the appropriate amount of legs for all mammals, I believe. Well, certainly no more than that. Miles says, maybe I should go to the next open mic. You know what? I say that you should, and you better. I think that that would be a great idea. So, do it. All right, I think this might be the last step for this lion. Let's see. Is it? I'm looking at some of the other pages. Yeah, I believe it is. All right, so we are close here. We are darned close. I'll move this guy up here. Start assembling a few of the bricks that I need. That and that. This and this. This guy. That guy. Oh, we're getting close. We're getting close. We're gonna build something together. We're building, folks. We're building. You didn't know that you were building, but you're here with me, so that means that we're building together. Congratulations. Thank you for your help. You're amazing. Oh, folks. Oh, folks. All in. All in. That and these two, and now I can build, baby. Hey, baby, you want to build some Lego with me? That's my pickup line for most girls, and it works. Hey, baby, let's build some Lego. Okay. It's usually what the beautiful woman says. Sounds exactly like that. I can mimic the voice of anybody having heard it but once. Hello? This is Mrs. McGillicuddy. As usual, flawless impression. Now, you don't know Mrs. McGillicuddy, but she sounds just like that. So, it would be kind of you to thank me. Hello, folks. I just flew in, and boy, are my arms tired. That's terrible. That's terrible. I'm just kidding. Stand-up comedy is not easy. You know, you have to have confidence. You have to have good material. You have to have a good delivery. There's a lot to it. But it's also very, very cool. Being funny is the most important thing in life. Never forget that. If you're not funny, I don't know what to tell you. You better be funny or else. Didn't need those actually. Let's see. So this guy's got some sort of like wings, huh? Something like that. There's one. And now we'll build the other. And then this gentleman will be done. Whoops. My bag. I have my fiance had a coworker who didn't know that the expression was my bad when you make a mistake. She thought it was my bag. So that's what she consistently said. My bag. And everyone just let her keep saying that. No one ever corrected her. So she would just say, my bag. I kind of love that no one ever corrected her. So she got really far in life. No, as far as I know, no one's ever corrected her. She still says my bag. So sometimes I like to say it when I make a mistake. My bag. Women constantly say they want a man with a sense of humor, says Miles. It's been my experience that, yeah, most women do appreciate a guy with a good sense of humor. That's been my experience. I think that is correct. I think that is true. What am I missing here? Oh, nothing. Okay. Come on, fit together. There you go. All right, I'm about to put the second wing on. That will end this build. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me while I tried this out. Now, obviously, this is only about 1/5 of the total project, but all the pieces were here and seem to have fit together. So I would say even if this is all I was able to build, that I got my $25 out of this. I would, and I just hope that I can build the whole thing, but I have a lot of confidence that that will be the case. Okay, let's move his head a little because it's actually quite posable. You can see that he's got legs that are pretty posable because of the ball joints. Tail. These ball joints make for a pretty flexible figure. He looks cool. And then, you know, you rotate it this way and the other lions will eventually attach to some of these points and the head comes down and I'll form the head. And I think that these wings will basically go up. I'm just giving you a real loose look at what the finished Voltron will look like. But it's cool. He's got some, can pivot at the waist. So as the Voltron robot, that's pretty posable. I think it looks pretty good. I think it's a nice build that these folks at Hsanhe, and I'm just guessing at the pronunciation there, but it's okay. The legs are the tiny bit loose around the joints, but they seem to hang together pretty well. So there he is, the black lion. Eyes, snout, wings, tail. There we go. That's the build. Thanks for hanging out with me during this experimental live stream. I'm going to attempt later to build the entire lion in Voltron himself, and I will try to do an edited review, but this is encouraging. This was, and yeah, I was talking to people, so I went a little slow, but 2.5 hours for like the biggest lion, that's a pretty good value already. So I'm happy. The instructions were a little tricky here and there because they're printed a little bit dark, but yeah, it works. 20% of the way down, I would say. Little ways to go, but thank you all for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and please like and subscribe. I've got lots more content. I put out at least one Comic Tropes episode a week where I review and analyze comic book creators and characters and all sorts of different genres and points in history, and I try to put out some bonus content like reviewing some related material as well. And sometimes we draw, sometimes we chat. It's a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone. Take care.